We're here at the embassy of Pakistan in Venice City and to talk to Ambassador Shazab Abbas, His Excellency. I would ask you two questions, Mr. Ambassador, of course, main two questions. One focusing on the situation in Central Asia regarding Afghanistan and also about Ethiopia, which are equally burning issues. And welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, my dear friend from Ethiopia, and I'm really grateful for you.
Your Excellency, what's your comment on the situation in Ethiopia?
You know, this is my first country as my ambassadorial assignment. So I have a natural affinity and natural love for your country. And first of all, I wish and pray to Almighty Allah to give peace and stability to your country. It's very, very important from my perspective and from the perspective of my government. Ethiopia, the current situation, it's going towards stability gradually. Although, as you know, the amount of fuel is a lot here. Again, the ethnicity is a big problem. And resource allocation is a second big issue. Third is the formation of a strong central government is very, very important. Pakistan is also a federal government, so we know the importance of the central government and the federation. So I believe that the Ethiopian government and the people of Ethiopia needs to work a lot to consolidate and strengthen the central government of this country. So this is one aspect. And the second is ethnicity, how to reduce the tension between different ethnic groups. This is very, very important. So far, the constitutional mechanism which is being followed in your country needs to be revamped, needs to be reformed, so that an inclusive structure could come up and people can sit down together and find the solutions of their problems. And I believe that the recent elections would be the right step towards the solutions of these problems which I just enumerated. These are the few problems. So let's have a hope that after this new formation of new government, which has now been announced on the 4th of October, hopefully these problems will start reducing down and the problem of people would be addressed in the right way. Ethiopia needs that the people from the adversarial side should come and sit down on the table and let's start talking, let's start negotiating that how our internal differences could be resolved. I think this is a fundamental challenge for the government. And if the government, which is, you know, rightly a legitimate government after the holding of this election, now it's in the right position to sit down and invite them with a generous heart. Come and sit down and let's talk. We are all brothers. We are all Ethiopians. We are the people, we are the sons of soil. Why not we can remove our differences? But, you know, man is very avaricious. It's by nature. We are greedy. Allah in Quran has said that man is greedy. But we need to control, we need to tame down our greed and put in a certain fashion where your interest and my interest could be protected equally. So that is the main message which should be emanating from the government side, because government always is on the higher pedestal. So the message of peace, message of negotiation, message of dialogue should come from the government side and ask them to come sit down and we are ready to accommodate our problems.
Mr. Ambassador, there are now ideas that many countries, including the United States, say Ethiopia should sit around table and hold dialogue or discuss with TPLF, which has been designated as a terrorist group by the House of People's Representatives. What's your comment on this?
Look, we also face this scourge of terrorism in our region. And it is very easy to put fingers on others. My finger will always be directed towards you. But the courage is that how to introspect myself, how to look into myself. There are weaknesses, there are strengths, there are problems, there are solutions. So instead of putting fingers or instead of blaming others, why not we make our own internal inspection? That is the most important thing. It is the strength of a nation. It is the strength of a human being. You understand? So I believe that the need of the hour is, let's sit down and introspect ourselves. If there are problems in me, I'm ready to open up it before you. And you please also mention your problems. So once we will put down those problems on table, it would be much, much easier for both of us to resolve our problems. So I think that is the fundamental and the core message of a human intellect, which we have learned over thousands of years of history, how to resolve our problems, how to create a compromise between the demands of two conflicting parties. So it's the right time.
What if that group refuses to accept that dialogue?
It's a stalemate. It is called in diplomatic jargon, it's called stalemate. Stalemate cannot persist for a longer period of time. It can either be resolved by two ways. One, through your internal ways, and second is from your external means. What I mean, that sometimes the international partners, as arbitrators or as a third party, neutral empires, they come in and sit down with you and try to make a match between the two. But if it is not, then the best solution is that why not me and you can talk together? You are also Ethiopian, I'm also Ethiopian. You know me better, I know you better. Why not we sit down together? So this, try to understand, this is what I have learned after two decades of my diplomatic training, that this is the most important thing. And it is the ingenuity of a human brain, human mind and human wisdom. Why not I can resolve my differences? So I believe that stalemate or pause, which is also have a very negative repercussions, let's sit down together and remove this pause. When I will utter my words and you will utter your words, we will start understanding each other better.
And finally, Mr. Ambassador, do you think that the African Union has played its role to settle the situation, the matter here in Ethiopia? The headquarters of the African Union is here in Finland City, the capital.
Your country is blessed that all the 55 nations of Africa are represented in this capital. It's a big, big political advantage to you and your country. And I think this advantage should be fully realized by engaging African Union in a very constructive way. You know, most of the time in diplomacy, third parties or third organizations sometimes lose their interest when they see that the stalemate has been protracted. So that fatigue is very dangerous for the settlement process. I think both parties need to convey to the third multilateral party, which is the African Union, in response to your question, don't let them fatigue first. If something is settled down between the three, between the two under the umbrella of the third party, it should be implemented in letter and spirit, so that they should not be tired of. They should not only try to make situation, please come and sit down and listen to us. This is very, futile exercise. It's a wastage of time. So we must be conscious of this fact that the third party often get tired and they start, trying to evade itself from the situation. So if we meaningfully want to engage African Union, then we need to listen to them and we need to act upon their advice, both conflicting parties. So I believe that the leadership in Ethiopia, the current leadership, is very wise, very sagacious, and wants to take the country to the next level in development, social cohesion, constitutional development. So that is the right time to listen to your friends and also introspect yourself. What kinds of needs are actually required to you, and from where those requirements can be met. If we can sit together, if we can make a comprehensive framework and charter of action, there is no doubt that Ethiopia can win over this current problem in months, not in years, in months. And I also believe that you have such a proud history. I always listen from other friends, the Ethiopian friends, that we have never been colonized by any power, which shows your resilience, which shows your cultural value and strength. So why not that strength can be used now? If outsider cannot colonize, then why an insider can colonize you? Nobody can colonize you. You are free people. You are people of valor and courage. Let's, the only small thing, sit down together. This is my message.
What's going on in Central Asia, and what can you say about the situation in Afghanistan now?
We have been the first victim of that war, when in 1979 it started, and then again after 9/11, when it was invaded by, the so many forces together. Which country was affected the most? It was Pakistan. And you know how many people have been died in Pakistan? More than 80,000 people. The war is fought in the battlefield of Afghanistan, but the people were killed in our country, in my country, 80,000 plus. And how much the quantum of loss in terms of economic and financial terms? More than $150 billion. So we lost. So we were the first who faced this problem, and we are the first who helped them. So right from the beginning till today, Pakistan has been playing a role of a facilitator to bring peace, stability, and tranquility in Afghanistan. So there is no doubt in it, and the world has recognized all our international partners, those who were involved in the negotiations with Afghans, with Taliban's. They recognize, they know that Pakistan has sacrificed a lot, and Pakistan has been playing an important and crucial role to settle and to resolve the issue in Afghanistan.
Your Excellency said that Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, and China with Pakistan are working well to support Afghanistan. But another great country is there, your neighbor, India, is there. What's the role of India there? Because you said China is there, the most populous, the second India is there. Is India also supporting that, or the other way? How can you tell me what this situation is all about?
Right. Anwar, first you need to know the ethnic composition of Afghanistan in order to understand the role of regional countries. Yes. 45% of the population living in Afghanistan to its southern belt, which is along the Pakistan's border region, are Pashtun. They are Pashtuns. Their language is Pashto, common language. The tribes living along Pakistan and Afghanistan border are divided between the two. So that 45% population is the population which is known as Pashtun population. Then the half of the population which is living beyond the Hindu Kush mountains. Hindu Kush actually divides the Afghanistan's territory into two parts, the northern Afghanistan and southern Afghanistan. So southern are all living below the Hindu Kush mountains along Pakistan's border, right from Kabul to Kandahar. It is a territory spread around 2,000 plus kilometers. Then the northern areas, which is called northern Afghanistan, is inhabited by Tajik, Uzbek, Turkmen, and Hazara. This is another tribe. They all constitute about 5 to 10% each ethnic group. So that is the entire, the composition. Now the Northern Alliance somehow has a differences with southern Pakhtun speaking people. Those later turned into Talibans. Earlier they were all Mujahideens. From 79 till 9/11, they were all Mujahideens. And after that, those Mujahideens turned into Talibans. So it's just a change of nomenclature. But ethnically, they are the two groups, northern people and the southern Afghanistan people. So there is no difference. But totally, you can say all of them are Afghans. Sure. And they are the people of Afghanistan. So I mean, now, many people believe that Pakistan is very close to the people, those called Pakhtuns in Afghanistan. And we don't have any relations with the people living in the north, the northern people, Tajik, Uzbek, Hazaras. No, it is not correct. Many believe that we Pakistanis are closer to Pakhtuns. That is a natural affinity. As the tribes are divided between the two countries, and the people across the border speak same language, enjoy the same culture. So it's very natural. But the people, those who are living in the north, have more closer affinity with the people of Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Iran. And by the way, their language is Persian, Dari. It's a derivation of Persian, original Persian, which is spoken in Iran, slightly different than Iranian Persian. It's called Dari in Afghanistan. So that is how, the ethnic division and their linguistic characteristics are like that. And now India has built some sort of relations with the Northern Alliance, which have direct differences with the Pakhtun population of the south. So our adversaries believe that since we are closer to Pakhtuns, so let's have a developed relationship with those who are opposite to it, meaning the Northern Alliance. So that is how they played a politics inside Central Asia and in Afghanistan. And the idea of India is only to block Pakistan, not to go closer to the Central Asian republics, which were also liberated after the collapse of Soviet Union. So this is a one strategic, objective of our adversaries in that region, one. And second, that we should not become very close to each other for our economic, social, and diplomatic and political gains. But it is all, it's all a far-off dream. Now look at after 40 long years, when the entire geopolitical situation is changing in Afghanistan, again the alliances are shifting towards different directions. Some are coming closer to Pakistan, some are going closer to Indian side, and some are going closer to American sides. So this realignment will definitely take place in coming days. But despite all realignment, the main idea is that how to protect the interest of Afghan people. That is the fundamental question. And Pakistani policymakers and the Pakistan's government and the government of Imran Khan, my Prime Minister, are all focusing on that how to consolidate all those gains which we have achieved so far in order to improve the socio-economic conditions in Afghanistan and ensure peace and stability in that disturbed country whose, I think, the third generation is now facing this scourge of war. Enough is enough. Let's start building the country together.
Do you think the United States of America will return back to Afghanistan to rebuild it with you, with your country, I mean?
Look, Americans' role, the role of superpowers, like the role of Russia after, the Russians' invasion in Afghanistan, that was have a very lasting effect on the structure of government and on the civil society of Afghanistan. And then in the first phase, Afghanistan got liberated from the communist, move. And now in the second phase, Americans and its allies, the NATO allies, they all came and invaded Afghanistan. They have, you cannot undermine the roles of superpowers. Their role is very important. And they also have the recognition, they understand that we need to bring stability in that country. So I think without the support and help of the big powers, stability in Afghanistan would remain elusive. So the recent change since the Taliban has taken over, they have also given a very vocal statement that we are ready to negotiate with all. America, yes, if America can play a constructive role in Afghanistan, it would be welcomed by the new regime. Russia, a very, very important player, it must play its role. China, of course, is ready to come up for the development of this war-affected, war-torn country. So I believe that the entire entire world has a full recognition. But now the time is to come up. It should not remain only the promises, because the people of Afghanistan has affected very badly. See that, as I mentioned you, millions are dislocated, thousands are died, and the infrastructure is totally collapsed. This is the time to rebuild and reconstruct Afghanistan and provide more and more social space for the people of Afghanistan to let they come together and start constructing their country.
Anything that you may raise, you may add on what I've been raised regarding Afghanistan. You may say something.
Yeah, exactly. If you want exact figures, that I can quote these figures from different sources, that so far 71,000 civilians have been died. 3,586 people from US and NATO are killed. 78,000 people from the national military of Afghanistan is obliterated. And now 84,000 people are died from the opposition side. So if you combine all together, it is more than 241,000 people. It's a big number. It's a big number. And on the other side, if you see at the expense sheet, which the American government has released unofficially, that 933 billion has been spent so far on the defense expenditure in Afghanistan. 530 billion has been borrowed from different agencies by the American authorities. 443 is spent in addition to the existing defense budget of the Pentagon only for Afghanistan. And then 296 billion is spent on the medical and disability expenditure, and 59 has been spent on war-related budget in the State Department. So in total, it is 2.26 trillion. So if a nation can spend $2.2 trillion only to continue a war, you can well understand the internal strength of that country. So I would say that the current government in America has the understanding and cognizance that, look, this is not good for their economy. This is not good for their country. And finally, the previous President Trump and now the current president finally decided to withdraw their forces from Afghanistan. This was a big decision, and a lot of factors came in to take America to that decision. And finally, I think we all should welcome this decision. Americans are all gone, all NATO forces are gone. Afghanistan is now completely evacuated. And again here, in this evacuation, look at the role of Pakistan. We provided our civil aircrafts, Pakistan International Airline. It went there and had a very regular, flights from Kabul to Pakistan. Is a huge number. And now we evacuated all of them with other international partners.
Your Excellency, Ambassador of Pakistan to Ethiopia, Shazab Abbas, I'm very happy, I'm honored to interview and talk to you about these two important issues, of course, burning issues internationally, and also where you are here in Ethiopia. And I thank you for your time.